Right, we need 5 cans to make a peony. I'm going to cut them initially to different lengths. We're going to be using the bottom of the cans with the curved, not the fastening bit, the curved bottom. So we'll be getting rid of the top. So the bottom one, that's going to be the very inner bit of the flower, you want to cut fairly short, so a couple of centimetres. And then the next 3 you need to cut in half, about there. And then the last one, which is the outside petals, just slightly above, not loads bigger, maybe like perhaps 2/3. Okay, and the way that you cut them in half, or cut them, is to pick them up, get your scissors, and just cut round like that. And then we're getting rid of that top bit, put that out of the way, we're keeping this bottom. All right, so here are our 5 cans now cut down. We've got rid of the tops, and we're going to work our way along, and I'm going to show you how to cut each one. So we're going to start with this smallest one. So the middle bit of our peony, we're going to cut, and you want to cut right down to the middle bit and a little V like that. And then as far in as you can. You're discarding the little zigzags that you cut out, and you're just going to cut these zigzags all the way around so it looks like that. Alright, so when you've got this cut all the way around, after we've painted it, these are going to be curled right in like that. But at the moment you want them open, otherwise you're not going to be able to paint it properly. If they're not going to bend far enough, you might need to cut a little bit more at the bottom, because we will be bending them right in once they're inside. But as I say, leave them open for now, put that to one side, and then you can start on the next petal, which is going to be the first layer of inner petals. So you get one of your half cans, and I'll show you what to do with that. Okay, so this one, which is the inner layer, and most of these petals will be curled really, really far in as well, but we can't curl them in until after we've painted them. We're going to divide into 6. So do one cut all the way down to there, do one opposite, and I don't think it matters, don't have to be exactly accurate. If you want to put a little wave in your line, because peonies don't have very many straight lines, so if you want to do a little slightly wavery cut down, that's fine as well. Now, peonies don't actually have, the tops of their leaves aren't that wavy, but we're going to make them very wavy just to get the idea of the frilliness. So let's open those out for now, and we're going to cut them into a very frilly. Now the shape is going to be like this, but then you're going to put waves, quite frilly, quite a lot of frilliness in there. So roughly following up in the middle and down at the sides. So if you start with a shape like that, and then however you want to do it, really, there's no, obviously you don't want them looking too similar. So something like this, and then like that all the way around for all 6 of those petals. All right, so we've got the inner layer of petals, so we've got the very middle bit, then we've got the next layer. So we're going to start with the next 2 half cans, and these are going to be cut in the same way. Now each of these are going to be cut into 4. So again, don't worry too much about accuracy, don't worry too much about straight lines. In fact, probably try not to get them too straight, and they're going to be bigger petals, but they're about the same height as the previous one, because those ones, the middle one is going to be very curled in, like peonies are. So these are the same. Okay, and I'm going to show you in a bit more detail. So these won't just bend out yet. So what we need to do is cut from the outside bit of the petal in a V like that, and on the other side. And then we're going to cut those bits off, surplus to requirement. And when you've got that, you should then have a petal that will fold out. There you go. So you need to do that all the way around. Cut off any little extra bits. And then we want to fold those out. Okay, now we want to do the same with the other half. So we've got two that are exactly the same. So here we have both of these. They're obviously going to fit together like that. But before we do that, we need to make the edges wavy. So we're going to do the same as we did with the inner petals. So if you cut the basic shape first, like that, but then we're going to make them as wavy. And don't worry, you know, put as much detail as you can in, because these are going to be visible. These ones are going to be the ones that are open. So, you know, you want it to look good. So cut those points off. And then you want a nice wavy. And you're going to do this with both of these. Eventually, when you painted them, a lot of these are going to be curled and frilled, but this is the kind of look we're going for. All right, so we finished these. We've got this one all ready. Again, these are going to be curled up a bit more, but they need to be painted first. So we have one bit. So we've got this, we've got this, we've got these two the same, and we have one bit, which is the taller bit of can. So if we get these out of the way. Now this one we're going to cut into 5. Because I want the petals to be a bit wider. So doesn't matter too much about them being too equal. When you've got them in 5, you're going to be able to open them out. You're going to cut that triangle away from the base of each petal. Cut it off like that. That will give you a narrower base to each petal, which means that you will then be able to open it out like that. So do that for all 5. All right, so here's all 5. You can open it out now, and then we're going to do the same thing. This is going to stay open because it's going to be the very outer ring of petals. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to shape them by going up and then down, and then you're going to put your waves in as detailed as you want to try and create that frilly edge that peonies have. So all the way around like that until they're all done. All right, so we don't want any pointy bits. There is the outer part. So now we have and it's now time to paint them. Right, so I'm spraying outside in the shed because you mustn't breathe in or inhale any of these spray paints. And I don't have a pale pink, which is what the colour I want my peony to be. So I'm going to spray them red first, and then I'm going to overlay with a thin coat of white to hopefully get that kind of blush look. So I'm just doing it in a box to contain the spray. Obviously I'm going to paint the other side as well. Let those dry, and then I'm going to add the white. Obviously the middle I'm going to be spraying with a nice yellow paint. So I'm going to put a bit of white on this yellow as well, because I don't want it to be such a bright yellow for my peony, because they're quite muted colours. Now the red has dried, I'm going to put a little bit of white on the top, and I hope that will create a bit of a very pale blushing pink effect. I'm going to do both sides of this. All right, so here we've got all our petals sprayed. So this is the bottom one, and then these two go inside, overlapped, and then this is the middle one, and then this goes right in the middle. And then I'm going to have to join them together first and then curl the petals in to be the shape that I want them to be. So at this stage, I would say if you don't have a power drill, you could separate them back out again, use a hammer and nail and hammer 2 holes in each part and then thread them together. I'm just going to use a power drill. All right, so here's my peony all joined together, and I'm just going to press hard, and then I'm going to drill. I'm going to get a piece of wire. I'm going to thread it through like a bit of a stitch to hold it together. So Okay, on the other side. Okay, they're through. I have to give that a little bit of a wiggle. Pull it tight and then twist it round to join that underneath. Okay, let's move these out of the way. All right, now I want to curl. I'm going to have to get my yellow paint and touch up that bit in the middle, obviously, to hide that. But also I'm going to curl now, start curling everything in the way I want it to be. So I'll be curling in these right over. Just use your fingers to kind of tease them in as much as possible. Push on the outside. And then these middle ones as well, you want to be curled in, so pull them like that to get that kind of peony look that we want. Right, that's looking good. A few more tweaks and then that'll be ready, I think. All right, so here's the finished peony from the back. I'm quite happy with the way that's turned out. And now, as usual, I have made another one of these using food cans like this, with just the centre is a drinks can, but the other 4 tins are just one of these. And it's come out looking like that. So it's a little bit bigger. And obviously you've got the ridges from the can in this one. You will need tin snips to make this, not scissors. And obviously you'll need to drill through to make the holes, because you won't be able to do that with a nail, I don't think. It's a little bit harder to manipulate, but I think that looks quite nice as well. I'm quite happy with both of those.